Alright, so we've got the new update notes have been released now on the latest update of FC. So just have a quick read through them now and just to see what changes have made and what they could be impacting us moving forward. So first off, we've got defending. This is quite a big one. There's a lot of people that have wanted this as well. So to start off with, we've got increased aggressiveness of man marking that only applies to defensive AI players around kickoff. How that's going to work, I don't know when most of the players are going to be running through to the half and into it from there. But if it improves the chance of kickoff goals, then that's what a lot of people kind of want. So next, we've got slightly increased sprint jockey speed for user controlled players. Now, there's a lot of people that were moaning that the jockey wasn't really kind of responding the way they wanted it to in the previous ones. How's that gone now? So and then moderately increased jockey and sprint jockey as well. So that's going to be quite a big responsiveness upgrade as well. So hopefully that can make a lot of improvements to the defending so it doesn't feel as rigid, and hopefully we can see what kind of improvements we get from that. So we'll jump in and do a little bit of a playthrough later on. When taking the ball from an attacker without tackling, the attacker could have sometimes incorrectly won the ball back. Now this is big because they took this out of the game in the last year as well, because there was a lot of bounce backs, there's a lot of tackle backs, and a lot of times when you're trying to tackle the ball, even without pressing the actual tackle button, you still win the ball back, but yet it still seems to fumble and bumble back to the attacker, and then they're running past you, and your player's kind of stood stuck in the mud. So if they can, improve that and stop that from happening as often as it does, and that could actually be quite a big improvement on there as well. So then, blocking a pass could have sometimes resulted in the passer unintentionally getting the ball back. So this goes back to that same point as well. So you block the pass, you've intercepted it, and if for some reason it bounces back to the player that's attacking. That's happened way too many times because your player's still stuck in the block animation whilst they're actually then getting the ball back and then they're running past you. So that goes again with the tackling. So that could be a big improvement as well. Increase the amount of players that stay back to defend when taking corners. Now this could be good for the counter attacks. More so on clubs, I feel like we see it where your team is taking the attacking corner. Their team will get the clearance header, which is fair enough. They're going to win a header, but then it automatically goes into a straight counter attack, and it's always a 4-on-2 or a 3-on-1, and you're outnumbered. The other team goes straight down the other end and score. So if you've got more players that are sitting back trying to stop that, then that could be a big thing. And obviously there'll be ultimate team improvements with that as well. So fingers crossed that can actually be another big improvement. So it looked like we're onto a bit of a winner so far here. Passing. So we've got ground and lofted through passes are more respectful of your aim input and less assisted. Now, this could help as well because there's probably a lot of people, and I know there's a lot of people that will say that the pass has not gone where they've intended it to. So this, if you're aiming whatever direction with your left stick, and it's going to be more down to that input, then there's going to be less room for errors. And if it goes where you're aiming it to and it doesn't actually come off, then that is on the user rather than it going to a different player or aiming towards a different player, or it put too much power for the player that you're aiming it to because it's trying to get to someone further away. That could be a big improvement. Ground through passes. Hold on. 2 seconds. So ground through passes was sometimes not being hit to the intended receiver. Pretty much what I was just saying, where it's down to the input. Where if you're aiming towards someone, you're looking at the player that you're aiming at. If you're like me as well, so you'll be looking on the screen where you're aiming to pass the ball to, and then the ball goes somewhere else in that slight direction, but to the wrong player. It throws you off a little bit as well, so you're not ready to receive that ball from that player, or that pass is then cut out by a player that you knew was there blocking that pass. So hopefully that's another improvement as well. Ground through passes were not leading enough at times. So yeah, not giving you enough kind of space for your attacker to then run onto. So that could be another lovely little improvement there as well. So lobbed through passes could have been affected by weather conditions, even if there weren't any in authentic gameplay. Not something I've come up against, if I'm honest. And if it has, it may have only been a slight increase because I know with authentic you get the wind can affect the ball trajectory if it's too lofted and so on from there. So Haven't really seen that firsthand myself, but if it's something they've improved on, then again, can only be a good thing. First time through pass requests could have sometimes resulted in the player trapping the ball instead of passing it. Yeah, that can be annoying at sometimes when you know you've pressed pass before your player's about to touch the ball, and instead they control the ball. You've then got to press pass again, and it throws you off your momentum as well. So again, that's another W I think there. And then requested low crosses could have sometimes resulted in regular crosses being performed. Something that we probably see more in clubs where your wingers cross the ball in and you hear them say, "No, I double tap that. I wanted a low cross," and it comes as a regular cross as well. Yeah, okay, that can be an improvement as well. So movement and positioning, moderately reduced speed of controlled sprint dribble. When attempting a controlled sprint dribble, sometimes a player could have lost track of the ball. Yeah, they seem to sometimes knock the ball a little bit too far forward when you're doing that controlled sprint dribble. So if they've reduced the error on that as well, and it's more related to the actual dribbling stats, then again, that could be another little win, another little tweak that's only subtle but enough to make a bit of a difference. Directed runs can now be triggered when controlled sprint. Okay, that could be seen as a win by some people. I don't tend to do a lot of the directed runs. I tend to just kind of tap it sometimes if I can see the strikers not making that run that I want them to. So I don't do that too often, so I may not see too much of an improvement there. And then during corners, players on the post could have been incorrectly positioned inside their goal. I've seen this a lot. Oh, it's going to hit again. Hold on, 2 seconds. Let me scroll back down again. I literally didn't even touch the pad for like 5 seconds there, and it's gone into idle. So yeah, incorrectly in positioned inside the goal. Now you've seen that where it's gone to the near post or it's been fumbling around in the box. It's all pinballing around, and for some reason your player that's on the post, it stood inside the post, inside the net. What are they going to stop there? Or they've just been ineffectual where the ball's gone to that near post that they're blocking, and they've just stood there and watched it like that classic Perlo video that you would have seen when he was in New York City, where the cross comes in and the ball literally gets headed straight over him, and he's just stood there holding the post. That's what it feels like they do sometimes. So if they can improve that little tweak again, that's another little win. Uh, Goalkeeper. So improved goalkeeper logic during corners to address situations where players could too easily score from short corners that resulted in far post crosses. Yes, this is something I've seen quite a lot. I've never done it myself, so I don't know whether it's actually worked, and I'll never find out now. But it's too many times where you'd see the short player would turn, run down the byline, dink it to the far post. For some reason, your keeper has come too close to that near post, and it's a free header at the back post. And if they win that, then it's a goal instantly. So if they've taken that out of the game, that's a big thing as well. And again, 5 seconds without holding the controller. Jesus. Scroll back down. It was goalkeeper we were on, and then we've got improved goalkeeper reactions to near post shots. Yeah, a lot of the time they'll end up kind of diving the wrong way. So if they're covering the near post here, and it's coming to the near post, you'd think they just stick it out, block it, but you see them kind of dive the wrong way and then stick an arm out, and before you know it, the ball's in the back of the net. So improved cases of goalkeepers incorrectly deflecting shots back to attackers. This is huge. This is huge. I see this way too often. Your keeper's made the save. Rare, I know, because a lot of the times you're better off not having a goalkeeper. Where you see the goalkeeper make the save, and unless they've got deflector or deflector plus, the ball is literally going straight to the edge of the 6 yard box. Then their player is always the one it falls to, and they're just tapping it into an empty net. Ultimate Team and clubs, I feel like that's going to be a massive, massive improvement there. Then improved goalkeeper punches to be stronger and have more consistent ball trajectories. Yeah, I don't see a lot of keepers punching, but again, if they can be stronger and not go kind of straight up into the air and leave the box, then that's only going to be an improvement. Dribbling skill moves, so players are now better at maintaining their movement speed when trapping the ball. Okay, yeah, that could be a nice little movement improvement there. Improved ball trapping consistency. Yeah, too many times where you know you're pressing the left trigger or L2 on PlayStation, where you know you just want to stand there and control the ball because you've got a defender right behind you. You just want to control it and then wait to see where they commit to, then go either way. And a lot of times the ball will just kind of bounce off their feet and they don't kind of control it. So that could be handy as well. Remove fancy ball traps for players without trickster play styles. I haven't really seen too many of that anyway. I don't do too many of the fancy ball traps, but again, if that can be removed, then even better. Requested skill moves were sometimes not performed. I'm not really a skill player, so I don't really use the skill tick too often. But again, improvements, we can only see W's from that. Added the following features, which will be activated through a server release in the near future. Okay, so this is something that's not instantly going to be added in, but will be when they do a server reset. Not too long. So added ability to sort SBCs by newest and expiry date. Now this is actually something I looked at yesterday. And you know when you think that you've got an idea but they'll never kind of run with it, and then you see this now, because I was actually looking through the SBCs. I was like, well, which ones actually finish sooner? Like I want to try and go through the ones that finish in within the next hour or 2 hours or something like that, or finish in today. And there was no feature to sort. So that's weird that they kind of put that in a day after that was my thinking. And again, I took my finger off the controller for 2 seconds. Let me scroll back down on there. But that's going to be quite a handy little thing for featuring, for sorting out the SBCs so you know where you're kind of at and which ones to kind of focus on. Added the ability to preview evolution challenge requirements and player eligibility criteria before owning the corresponding evo. That's just going to be a little visual effect that will save a little bit of time, a little bit of convenience there as well. So that's decent. Added the ability to favourite and track objectives and objective groups. Now this is something that we saw initially where you'd be able to see in the pause menu your current objectives and which you've got to be kind of aiming for. So favourite objectives along with evolutions and rival bounties will appear in the pause menu for easier in-match tracking and in its own tab on the Ultimate Team menu. So yeah, it's just something that will show up. I think we've all seen the bit where there's that bit from beta where you'd pause it and you'd see on the right-hand side your objectives, your ongoing ones, so you know what you need to do, a certain number of goals or assists from a certain player or a player from a certain country and so on from there. So nice little tweak, little visual effect that would just be a little bit more convenience for players, so that'd be lovely. Gameplay notifications for completed objectives. So again, yeah, we've seen it in the settings where you can turn it on, turn it off, but up until now it's had no effect. So hopefully that can actually be improved and they don't wait too long before actually putting that in. Career mode, I'm going to skip through career mode if I'm completely honest because it's not something that I play. If you guys do want me to go through it, I can do it in another video as well. But for now, I'm going to skip through this because career mode is not something I look at. So seeing updates on there are going to be worthless for me to look at. So clubs, this is something that we know we do. User control players will now take penalties before AI players and drop in matches or go to penalties. Don't do a lot of drop in matches. Rarely go to penalties anyway. So minor little thing there. Archetype XP boost would only display the base XP earned at the end of a match summary until viewed in the detailed breakdown. Another little visual thing. We knew it was there in the background, but it's just a little visual update as well. So a little bit more convenience they've added in there. Non-captain players in clubs were unable to access team management from the pause menu. That's something I know that the guys in my club as well have wanted to see because we were looking to see if the facilities were actually making an effect to your in-game stats as well, and they weren't actually able to go into the menu and actually check that because you can go in, obviously you can look at your player stats and you can see if the facilities have actually improved your players' base attributes as well. So the fact they can do that now, that'll be nice as well. So that looks like that's the end of it. So that's a quick rundown of the latest update as well. So hopefully there's a lot of things in there as well that we're going to see some improvements in the game. So fingers crossed it can all be positive. Obviously drop some comments. Let me know how you feel it's going to affect your gameplay, or if there's anything that you feel like they would need to look at again. But like I said, there's a lot of things in there that are all positive that are going to help the gameplay, help people play, and hopefully make it a little bit more on a balanced scale from there. So yeah, that's me for now, guys. I'll catch you when we do the next update and we'll go from there. So cheers.